Hey everyone, it's Twist65, and today we're having a little fun with some 3D resin printing. Back in the midsummer of 2023, I picked up an Elegoo Saturn III 12K resin printer. After some fun little free prints, I saw this 135 scale dinosaur, and I printed it out. The model has two big drainage holes that need to be filled. I used modeling paste. The name of this fella is Pachycelosaurus. My Greek's not that good. Apparently, he used a very thick bone plate on the top of his head to ram into predators that were coming after him and his young. Anyway, my original thoughts were just to use it as a cool piece for testing out paint schemes, i.e., as a paint mule. And then I moved on to painting. And this little fellow did start out with several color variations, but I finally found a scheme that stuck with me. And so this led me down another dinosaur rabbit hole, back to the search engines, and I found another 135 scale dinosaur, and quite possibly a few more. This guy's name is Cosmoceratops. Cosmo comes from the location of where he was found, and Ceratops because he kind of looks like he has three horns. I think he's a proto-triceratops. This new dino came in two big parts, a body and a head, which meant it didn't need drainage holes because the excess resin could just flow out of the two big open cavities. But it also meant that I needed to do a lot of putty work before we went to priming. I really like the details that this 3D modeler, an artist, put into the skin and the head. It really made it pop. And they also seemed to have a whole lot of surface detail, and that big armored head just looked right for some extra color decorations. And then inspiration hit me. Why not make these two into a diorama, with the two herbivores fighting over some fauna at the local watering hole? The base work is fairly straightforward. Hot melt glue some scrap foam onto the base to form a little hill, cover everything in sculpt the mold and form a low area for the water. And then I came back in with some spackle to give me a smoother top texture. The sculpt the mold just didn't look like dirt. All the white plaster was then undercoated in an acrylic brown, with the pool being painted in shades of green and blue, getting darker towards the center, but it's still a tiny little bit of black. For the undergrowth, a bright green flock was used as a base for the grasses. And I also tried my hand at making some yellow flowers from static grass clumps and yellow flock. Not too bad for my first attempt, but we're gonna stop doing that for now. While mixtures of 4, 7, and 12 millimeter spring green static grasses were then applied in various layers to kind of build up some thicker mulch and foliage. After all the grasses were dry, I added some brown sand to the water pool's edge. The water on the diorama was Woodland Scenic's still water. It's a thick, goopy PVA compound that you gently pour straight from the bottle. It takes about 2 days to fully cure and dries crystal clear. It's a nice product when you don't want to or don't have the space for a deep pour. The illusion of depth comes from the choice of colors you paint under the thin layer of still water. I painted the wooden base black before adding the dinos, and then added more shrubs and pre-manufactured flowers around the creatures. This was a fun little creative outlet that had next to no planning involved, which sometimes ends up being a great palette cleanser that gets you onto the harder projects. It also got me to play around with my new 3D printer and start learning some of the settings. So I hope you enjoyed this fun little project, and if you did, please consider a like and a subscribe.